Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video, and today I'm taking a look at episode 2, The Renaissance Man, written by Justin Richards, starring Tom Baker as the 4th Doctor and Louise Jameson as Leela. Here we have a picture of Leela, Spitfire and the villain, or who we suspect to be the villain, a butterfly and Tom Baker there. We have the banner there with Tom Baker, the Doctor Who logo there. The audio adventures of Doctor Who, classic Doctor's brand new adventures as well, above his head is what it says. 1.2, which means that it's part of the first series of 4th Doctor Adventure episodes, but it's episode 2, The Renaissance Man even. The cast, the bio, the running times and things. Then here we have the disc in the Time Vortex style, and then the reversible cover and all that funky jazz. So what did I think of Renaissance Man episode 2 in the first series? And for those of you who don't know, I have already reviewed Destination Nova, which is the first episode, and that I gave that a 6 out of 10 for those of you who don't know. Did I like this more? Yes, I did actually. I really enjoyed this one, as most people overlook, I think, the Doctor's intellect, the 4th Doctor's anyway, in particular. I think he is very knowledgeable and that, but he uses his wit and sort of humour to overcome his enemies, and I think that often gets overshadowed for the fact that he has no intelligence when he is absolutely really intelligent. Leela here is really good. I think all of the actors really bounce off each other very well and gel really well. Although this is a very simplistic idea, its execution is superb and rather flawless for me. Although the ending felt a bit naff, I felt like it was still all executed really well. I think the cliffhanger didn't really have as much substance as it could have done, and I think what lets this one down is the fact that some people might not like it because it has no aliens in it really, and that, so it feels like a pure historical, but it's not a historical. It's sort of this sort of mad idea of a theme park for pure intellectuals and that, and then it all goes, you know, haywire and a bit, for lack of a better term, tits up, and that, you know, and I love the 4th Doctor because, again, here he's spewing off a lot of intelligent lines, and then you later find out, spoiler alert, that actually he's just feeding these people nonsense, but it's funny because they think just because he's smart that it's true, or whatnot, or because he comes across knowledgeable, and that. I also like the near the end, right near the latter end of this story, there's a bit where he says something about you know, knowing everything and being knowledgeable and understanding are two completely different things, and I completely agree with that statement. You know, knowing something and understanding it are two completely different things, and the Doctor says that to one of the characters in this, and it's like, yeah, completely agree, because again, the Doctor's drip feeding him this wrong information, again, spoiler alert, and that, but the character just assumes that it's right because, again, you're knowledgeable, I'm not, and, you know, that could be said for, you know, people who don't think themselves to be that knowledgeable but think other people around them are. You might just believe them because you think that they're knowledgeable, when actually they could just be telling you anything just to make themselves look better, and that. And just because they know that thing doesn't mean that they understand it. You know, someone who's better at you in maths might know loads of better things in maths, but might not understand the things you're doing as well as you do because you're learning it at your pace, and they've sort of rushed through that to get to where they are, if that makes sense. Also, I like another bit towards the end where the Doctor says something about, is knowledge worth knowing if it affects the well-being of even one person, and then Leela says, well, no. I think she says no, but, or she might either say no, or the like the setup of that line is that we as an audience ideally say, no, it's not worth knowing something if it, you know, impacts even a single person on a personal level, and that. Again, this story feels very Agatha Christie style, you know, it feels very sort of a murder mystery. It feels like Unicorn and the Wasp, but it works better here because it feels very of the time. You know, it continues that theme of, you know, trying to educate Leela, because they go to this like well, they want to go to this one place and then they end up somewhere else in this manor house, and it works really well. I think the story works really well thematically, in the sense that I could imagine it being after sort of Talons of Wangshang. I could see this working in the context of, the context of, say, Tom Baker and Leela's sort of run, is what I mean, because it just feels mad enough, because I think for the most part, 90% of the story, I felt like I could keep up with it and picture vivid images of where they were, but for that 10% of the time, I felt like I couldn't, and I think this had my attention a lot more than, say, Destination Nova. Destination Nova, I kept dipping in and out of the story and didn't feel as invested in it for one reason or another. I just didn't, if I'm being completely honest. Whereas this kept my attention a lot more, I think, because the Doctor was always saying something interesting. There was always a bit of action here and there. If there wasn't something interesting the Doctor was saying, I think there was a bit of action, and the combination of the two was nice. And then if there wasn't anything the Doctor was saying interestingly, or too interesting, or Leela wasn't saying something too interesting, and there wasn't any action, then there was a little bit of humour here and there. Not a lot of humour, which again really does stand out for me, because, again, I think the Fourth Doctor gets overshadowed by his humour sometimes, in the sense that he's not intellectual, and that, which is a shame. So, overall, what would I give Renaissance Man out of 10? I would give it a 7 out of 10, 1 whole point more than Destination Nova, so it is definitely a step in the right direction. It still feels rather short, and a bit too self-contained, and a bit basic at times, but I think if you're wanting an easy, fairly easy listen, and a fairly easy start to get into Big Finish, I'd recommend this story. It really works well as episode 2, because it follows straight on from Destination Nova really well, in the sense that, we're still trying to, or, the Doctor and that is still on this journey to try and educate Leela and that, and I think that after the ending of Destination Nova, that follows on really well. So yeah, 7 out of 10. Hopefully the next one gets even higher ratings. But yeah, thanks for watching, comment, rate and subscribe.